Nature of Society, Part 2, Session 8. For the next two sessions, we shall be looking at what the great economic thinkers of the past have said regarding solutions to the perennial economic problems that every country has faced and will continue to face. These world-renowned writers as Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, Henry George, Progress and Poverty, David Ricardo, The Law of Rent, Leon McLaren, Nature of Society, to name a few. They have all said essentially the same thing. In every civilized community, relations between citizens rest upon the observance of rights and duties. Every citizen has rights, and for these rights to be observed, duties must be performed. The duties precede the rights, and not the other way around. Without these duties and rights, life in society would be chaotic at best and very perilous at worst. These rights and duties are translated into laws and statutes, and the full force of the state is brought against anyone who is found in breach of them. Progress in society depends upon the pursuit and manifestation of these rights and duties. No one in any country can say that there is the fullest manifestation and observance of the highest ideals of rights and duties of citizens. There is general agreement that this is a work in progress. The duties of the nature of society. The study of the nature of society is a study of the forces governing the relations between men in society. In such a study, economic justice must play an important part. It is not only important to ask the question, how does the economy work, as most economists do, but to also ask, is it working justly for everyone? This last question does not seem to be uppermost in most economists. As we said, every right implies a corresponding duty. If one has a right to property, all others have a duty to respect that right. Without duty, this right could not exist. The most fundamental of rights is the right to live. This right is equal in all. The right to live includes the development of the individual and his talents to the fullest. This right we can all agree to, but are duties observed in the fulfillment of this right? If we agree that an equal right to live means anything at all, it means that every man has an equal right to raw materials supplied by nature, without which he cannot live. To deny him this is to deny him the right to life. This is the fundamental right to be respected by everyone. The man who claims that this land is mine, without recognition of the common rights of all men to it, is in breach of this right. On the other hand, land is passive, and it will not feed or shelter anyone who refuses to work upon it. It is also wrong that any able-bodied man should live upon the work of another. Everyone has an absolute right to the full product of his labor, subject only to the claims of those unable to work. A fundamental right that should not be lost on us is that an able-bodied man shall live by his own labor, and not on the labor of others. As long as men obtain wealth without working for it, then others are working for no return. No man or estate, including the state, has any right to take any part to the product of a man's labor. It is his and his alone. He has created it. How does this right stack up against personal income tax imposed by the state? The same can be said of the statement, this land is mine. This cannot be true because no individual has made the land. Private property in land historically has been gained through conquest and force. A man will not have a right to the full product of his labor unless he has equal access to land with every other man. This last statement will appear contradictory to all. How could he have equal access to land to secure his full product of labor and not deny or exclude others? Does equal right to access of land equate to exclusive possession of this land? We certainly have exclusive possession of land today. Landowners do allow others to use the land for a price. The price demanded is the rental value of the site. Wages, as we know, are same throughout the economy, although determined at the margin. This rental value is synonymous with what the Creator has provided. Remember, what man has created on any site are his wages, the full product of his labor. The rental value is created by the Creator, and all men should have equal right to it. If every household landholder were to yield the full rent of his land to a common fund, divisible equally among all men, and not to any landlord, and further, if the landholder maintains the land in good condition, he would satisfy each man's equal right of access to land. To repeat, the enforcement of these duties against every landowner to pay the full rent to a communal fund and to maintain the land in good condition would not only secure the equal rights of all to the land, it would specifically secure each man's equal right of access to land. Let us represent this schematically. So we have these three pieces, these three plots of land, and with varying rental values, 112, 110, and 18. Three settlers arrive and occupy three sites consecutively. Settler A first, settler B, and C third. Their product of wealth, applying equal skill and effort, are 10, 9, and 8 respectively. Site A has a rental value of 2 over Site C. Site B has a rental value of 1 over Site C. Site C has no rental value. If Sites A and B had to pay these rental values of 2 and 1 into a common fund, they would gain no benefit of occupying the better sites. If the funds so collected are equally distributed to the three sites, the wealth diagram would now look like this. The rent equally shared. Each rent equally shared, so the total value becomes 10 on each site. If settler D comes along and is free to occupy any site not already in use, he will not only increase the overall wealth on each site, he will increase wages throughout. When we return, we will look again at the situation where land is all enclosed. So when settler D arrives, he increases the product. So each site now has a total product of 14, with the equalization of rent shared taking place. So we break now for a few moments. If the policy of paying into a common fund is adopted, the effect of this would be profound. The present condition of land ownership, where land is all enclosed, is one of inflated rents, and if every landholder is obliged to pay into a common fund this rental value, whether the land is in use or not, the line diagram of wealth would look like this. So we have the various sites, the various rental values, and the rent being determined. The landholder, by his control of the land, is keeping other men from access, and therefore has a moral obligation to make good to society the rental value of the site, and to also keep the site in good condition. So for instance, in this current example, the rental value above the horizontal line are to be paid into the common fund. The wage value, which is 5, is solely the landholders and is common to all sites. The common fund is then equally divided amongst all sites. The impact of this would be profound. No landholder would hold land idle, for this would result in him having to meet rental payments from other sources other than the site itself. There would be a movement of entrepreneurs towards sites that are best suited for their type of economic activity. Speculation would cease, more lands would be forced into production, and unemployment would be eliminated. Wages would rise until it reaches a level consistent with true demand and supply. The wealth diagram will now look as follows. Please note that wages would have moved from 5, where the land is enclosed, to 15, where land now becomes freely available. The rental values above the wage line would be totaled and shared equally amongst each site. It is to be stated here that rental value is not only the natural advantage that one site would have over another due to location, fertility, and accessibility. It is also due to the patronage that the site would receive, not only from the present generation, but also from past generations. Past generations would have provided value upon which the current generation would build upon. The landholder could hardly be the creator of any of this. He is just the beneficiary. To bear this out, we see that rental values in more developed countries are much higher than underdeveloped countries. This is because the industrial and commercial activity in these developed countries were not only intense within the country's borders, but also extended worldwide. The underdeveloped countries had a much less intense history of development. Rental values, therefore, is created by the community, not only the present, but the past, and this value should be restored there. The only private property is wages, a man's product. Rent is public property. Before any man can claim his right as a member of this community, he must observe the duty to maintain himself and his dependents. This, of course, refers to able-bodied individuals. Those who are not able-bodied should be maintained by the state. Every citizen has a duty to contribute equally to the cost of maintaining the state. Equal rights means equal duties. If rental value is taken to pay for the state's expenses, the state will be taking an equal sum from each citizen. The taking of the communal due is principled on the premise of equal rights, equal duties, and equality in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The current situation in every country throughout the world only pays lip service to this. Every individual has a personal right to access the land of exclusive possession. As he assumes this right, he takes on the duty of paying the full rental value of his holding to the public exchequer and maintaining the land in good condition. As the obligations are fulfilled, he has a right to the full product of his industry, and he may do so as he pleases with it. This is the only moral basis for private property and the foundation of individual rights. As a citizen, as a member of this community, has an equal right with every other citizen to share in the communal rent provided he performs his duties to the community. This duty is to maintain himself and his dependents once able-bodied. If such a man will not work, no penal code is necessary. All the state has to do is to withhold his share of the communal rent. Sheer necessity will drive him to fulfill his obligations. But there must be the opportunity and scope for a man to employ himself. Currently, in many countries, a fair percentage of individuals do not have this opportunity or scope. Man is naturally anxious to make his own way in life. He needs very little encouragement to do so. He will gladly expend his energy to promote the welfare of himself and his dependents. He just needs a just system that will allow him to do so. We close this evening by listening once again to Henry George, whose wit always gives an insightful perspective. Has the first comer at a banquet the right to turn back all the chairs and claim that none of the other guests shall partake of the food provided, except as they may make terms with him? Does the first man who presents a ticket at the door of a theater and passes in acquire by his priority the right to shut the door and have the performance go on for him alone? Does the first passenger who enters a railroad car obtain the right to scatter his baggage over all the seats and compel the passengers who come in after him to stand up? The cases are perfectly analogous. We arrive and we depart. Guests at a banquet continually spread, spectators and participants in an entertainment where there is room for all who come, passengers from station to station, or an orb that whirls through space. Our rights to take and possess cannot be exclusive. They must be bounded everywhere by the equal rights of others. Just as the passenger in a railroad car may spread himself and his baggage over as many seats as he pleases until other passengers come in, so may a settler take and use as much land as he chooses until it is needed by others, a fact which is shown by the land acquiring a value, when his right must be curtailed by the equal rights of the others, and no priority of appropriation can give a right which will bar these equal rights of others. This is taken from Progress and Poverty. Well, I invite the listeners, participants to go over this video because it may not be as clear on first looking at it. So please avail yourselves of re-looking at the video. So before we end, I would like again to let you attendees know that Unsustainable Development is an educational offering devoted to the dissemination of its cause to all of mankind and to those who have English language as their first official language in the first instance, and to all, eventually all over the world. To make this possible, and because we do not charge a fee for this dissemination, we rely wholeheartedly on monetary donations to meet the cost of achieving these goals. If you have found these sessions useful thus far and would like others to have access to them, we would gratefully accept your donations should you be inclined to offer them. You can send donations to our PayPal account at the email address loadbroker2001@yahoo.com. Thank you for your kind gesture. As indicated before, you can communicate with us by going to our Facebook page on Sustainable Development or our YouTube channel, Balancing the Economy. We will respond to all your comments or questions. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the alert button to get notices that our latest session has been posted. All sessions are archived at our Facebook page. Please share with your family, friends, and acquaintances.